everybody. Welcome, Mr. Athavale. Let's give him a big hand, everybody. Lots of people here who are really interested in what's happening in the EOW. So, as I pointed out, we're going to have two speakers today. And one of the things I wanted to say before we start is that all of us here as concerned citizens are really shocked at the outrageous attack on Constable Vilas Shinde and his tragic death. And I think we are even more shocked to read from the papers that there have been 371 police personnel who've been killed or injured in road accidents while on duty in the last 5 years. I think in the last 2 days, all of us have seen 2 videos going viral about people beating up police officers. I think this is really shocking and outrageous, and I thought since we're doing this session, we should convey on behalf of all of us here that we as concerned citizens want to express our solidarity with the police, and I think each of us has to agree that we have to take steps to ensure that this doesn't happen, because if we are going to allow our police officers to be beaten for whatever reason, then you're going to have to live with a complete chaos as far as law and order is concerned. Does everybody agree with me? Yes. Fantastic. So we will convey this also to the police commissioner on all your behalfs. Before we start, before I introduce Mr. Athavale, may I request my colleague Mr. Shashikumar to welcome him with a bouquet of flowers, please. Mr. Mahesh Athavale is a commerce graduate from Pune University. He's done his LLB from Bombay University and holds a diploma in forensic science and law, also from Mumbai University. He has an unblemished 24 years record with the Maharashtra Police, during which he has received many awards, including the insignia of the Director General. He's worked on deputation with the United Nations Peacekeeping Force in Kosovo and received a UN medal in 2005. During his stint with the police, he has worked with the Bureau of Immigration, Traffic Management, Prevention and Detection of Crime, Maintenance of Law and Order, Security of Persons and Premises, Collection of Intelligence and Training. He has handled many high-profile investigations which cover forgery, cheating, loan fraud, as well as Ponzi and money circulation schemes. He has handled several of the important investigations on Ponzi schemes while he was there. He has created and delivered training modules on various aspects of investigation of fraud cases to aspiring police investigators, banks, as well as insurance employees. He took voluntary retirement at the age of 47 in 2015. He now works as a consultant and advisor to several corporate houses. With this short introduction, I'm going to ask Mr. Athavale to take over.
Good evening, everyone present over here. First of all, I am very much grateful to Money Right Foundation for involving me in this wonderful program of ULWIX, Police and You. Indeed, it is a great initiative that has been taken up, and I strongly vouch for that. I would say yes, indeed, we all need to create awareness among ourselves as citizens that how police, not only police, but as I understand, you have also included fire brigade, you have also included civil defense, and indeed there is need for taking up such initiatives time and again, because public memory is a very short memory. We tend to forget things and learn things and unlearn them and again learn them. Coming back to my topic, that is today's subject about multi-level marketing and Ponzi schemes. I have prepared a presentation, but rather than presentation, I would like to rely more on kind of interactive session with you all so that we can understand this subject in depth. First and foremost, let me tell you that I am here to share my experiences with you all while I have worked with EOW. Maybe because before me coming to EOW, I may not be so aware about such Ponzi schemes. And as I remember in my initial period of service, like 1992, when I got my first posting in Bombay, I remember one of my colleagues had come to me with such a scheme, and he has somehow managed to induce me to invest 2,500 rupees. I still remember. And I feel very hurt as well, because I was induced by him. But as far as Ponzi schemes are concerned, I think people are getting induced in Ponzi schemes from 1903, when Charles Ponzi Italian immigrant from who came to America, and he, for the first time, he has floated such a scheme. He was arrested by police in America. He was sent to jail. After coming out of jail, he again started with it. So we can say that it's a phenomena which is international phenomena, and there is nothing new as far as India is concerned. Most of us look America as a developed nation and developed society, and even today in America, these are 5 name of companies which are named by their own enforcement agencies, which are likely to be involved in Ponzi schemes, like Amway, Herbalife. Herbalife is there since 2001. Then Usana Health Science, New Skin Enterprises, that was prosecuted in 1990 in different states. And then there is Mary Kay, which was founded in 1963. This all information is available in public domain, so if there is something wrong, you can correct me. But as far as my information goes, this is the correct information. And again, there is one more scheme. I don't know whether how many of you are aware about it, but there is one program that is called as Bitcoins. Bitcoin is nothing but it's a virtual product. Like you keep on earning points, those points are credited into your e-wallet or e-account, and through those Bitcoins, perhaps you can purchase certain things online. I don't know what is reality, but as I have understood, in China, Bitcoin thing is quite in vogue. Many people are getting duped by Bitcoin, and honestly, irrespective of the losses of thousands of crores, still the story continues. Coming back to Indian scenario, in 2016, we must have all heard about Samruddha Jeevan, and there are more than 3,000 multi-state cooperative societies. This is a new funda that they have come up with, that they registered their so-called company under the name of Multi-State Cooperative Society, and now the central government is thinking under what regulation they should bring down all these societies. Then in 2014, we have also heard about Sarda scam, Pearl Agro, and that is not the story. It is continued from 1994. Purposely, I have taken a period for last 20 years because 20 years is something that we can recollect and we can reproduce at this point of time. We all living in Mumbai are also aware about the scheme of BEST employees, which was floated somewhere in 1995. And then there were many schemes as far as green plantation. Then in between there were schemes for emu raising. So all these schemes have come to us time and again in different versions with different names. And what media has to say about this? This is a clip which I have copied from the internet today itself. Like SEBI suspects money laundering is in existence in Ponzi schemes. When we'll go further in the presentation, you will agree with me. Through many instances, it can be proved, yes, money laundering is indeed happening. Lot of money, Indian money, is being drained out of Indian economy through such Ponzi schemes. I here just want to mention about one particular company. I am not against any individuals, but I feel it is essential that I must mention about that particular company that is called as QNet. Earlier it was known as Quest Gold, then it got converted into Gold Quest, then presently it is being formulated under the name of QNet. And look at the global events as far as QNet is concerned. Again, I am telling you, this is available in public domain. If you type QNet on Wikipedia, you will come to know about all these details. But just let us have a run through all the events that has happened as far as QNet is concerned. The company was formed somewhere in 2000-2001 by a few Indians from South India. In 2002, the Australian Office of Consumer and Business Affairs listed the QNet company as one of the 61 alleged pyramid schemes then prevalent in Australia. In 2003, the Nepalese Home Ministry banned the company from operating in Nepal, and Bahadur Manadhar, Chief of Foreign Exchange Department of Nepal Rashtra Bank, said Gold Quest was a 100% fraud. 2005, the Sri Lankan government banned Gold Quest, claiming that the company had cost $15 million to leave the country. In 2005, the Iranian government also banned Gold Quest after prosecutors found that company activities had led to the exit $500 million from Iran. Now you will understand why SEBI is now saying that money laundering is indeed happening as far as these Ponzi schemes are concerned. It is not only happening in India, it is happening all over the world. In 2007, APLI, the Direct Selling Association of Indonesia, called Gold Quest a pyramid scheme, and Interpol arrested its former director and chairman Vijay Eswaran and other company officials for fraud. Again, these are events which I don't want to go through, but they are in front of you. What happened in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. Number of nations, right from Afghanistan, Rwanda, Sudan, Syria, Saudi Arabia, so on and so forth. And still, QNet keeps on invading different parts of the world, like Ghazni of Muhammad did so somewhere in 1,000 years back in India. This is prosecution, or this is action which is in continuation as far as QNet is concerned in India. Like EOW of CBI has registered a case against them, Enforcement Directorate has registered a case against them. 2014, Mumbai Police has frozen certain accounts, and then there is a famous actor whose son is involved into that, whose account is also frozen by Mumbai Police. Delhi EOW is also investigating the case. Now, after having gone through all this and after having taken summary of all this happening as far as this so-called Ponzi schemes right from 1903 till 2016, the question comes over here how these schemes are still in existence and how they are being run. There are a few myths as far as these multi-level marketing schemes are concerned, or Ponzi schemes are concerned. Most of them run under the name of multi-level marketing schemes or direct selling techniques. Now what they claim? They claim that they generate employment. They claim that they are generating source of earning for underprivileged class. They claim that they are distributing profit and they are bringing in economic freedom and distribution of resources. And if you look at their products in the next case study, which I will be presenting you, you will understand what I mean in a better form. Like their products are virtual. Most of the products are virtual, which are not essential for your day-to-day life. Like they will sell you e-signs, they will sell you some magic wand, they will sell you some magic water, they will sell you all such nonsense things. And there is no quality control by the state over production of such products. There is no regulation. And however, golden dreams are always shown to people, and people get lured away by such schemes. So before going further, I would like to take you en route to how such schemes come into the existence. And before understanding that, we must understand which are players or which are factors which float such schemes. I happened to investigate a case against some Avishkar Enterprises in 2010. The proprietor of that Avishkar Enterprises was a small-time businessman, some estate agent living in South Central Mumbai, coming from a humble background. And he earlier used to work for City Limousine as an agent. So after the bubble of City Limousine busted, he decided to start his own scheme. He met with like-minded people and they came together and then they devised certain plan of investment. Earlier they had decided that they will assure 100% return in a period of 9 months. But when they had series of meetings with people, the agents, those who were supposed to take those schemes to people, informed the proprietor. His name is Digambar Haripatil. I still remember his complete name because I happen to be investigator. They came to him and they told him, look here, nobody will buy your scheme if you are going to double their money in a period of 9 months. So instead, you will have to promise them that you will return them in 3 months initially. Later on, you can change it to 6 months and later on, you can take it to 9 months. And trust me, this is the way it has happened. There is no exaggeration. This is the way it has happened. The scheme was drawn in such a cold-blooded manner. They knew it well that they had no way of multiplying the money that they were supposed to be collecting from people. They knew it well that they had no investment plan. They knew it well that they are not distributing profit to people, but they will be distributing money collected from people to people itself. So over here we must understand, for any such scheme to come in existence, there has to be group of promoters who are indeed willing to take up the mantle, because later on they are the one who face the prosecution. Now these promoters are always supported by financiers. I don't know if any one of you have ever visited office of such schemes. आप में से किसी ने अगर ऐसे कोई ऑफिस में गए होंगे तो मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ you will understand it better. Like, so you will find offices of such schemes mostly in some malls, in some plush commercial apartments, and the offices will be well furnished. There will be few good looking assistants who will smile at you, who will offer you water, who will offer you a cup of tea. Especially if you are a senior citizen, they will treat you with extreme politeness, and they will be there for everything that you require at that moment. And for all these things, they have to create a show. They have to set up office, they have to buy furniture, they have to display the advertisements, they have to sometimes conduct some workshops, they have to sometimes conduct some star nights, they have to call political leaders, and they have to felicitate some people with nonsense felicitation like Jivan Shri or Gaurav Shri. I don't understand that how a small time businessman is felicited in presence of thousands of investors for Jivan Shri, for a business which he perhaps have never meant to do it. But yes, and for all this fake show, they need money in the initial stages. Listen very carefully that any business that has to be run, there has to be some capital. So in this business also, they need some capital, and this capital is always invested by financiers. Now these financiers, they agree on the terms of returning double of the amount or triple of the amount in a period of 3 months to 6 months. I'm telling you in a very usual manner. It is not necessarily that it happens in every case like this, but it may vary. More or less it happens in this manner. That is what I want to point out. Now these financiers, they put in their money with a condition that their money will be returned in a span of 3 months to 6 months. As and when money is collected from people, they will be the first group of people who will secure their money back. Now, after having secured finance, nowadays it is an era of web. Everything has to be there on internet. Earlier, if I think most of us will agree over here that earlier in newspaper there used to be small advertisement columns, and in those small advertisement columns, such schemes used to be circulated or such schemes used to be displayed or advertised. Now, since it is a era of web, they have to have website, they have to have domain name registered, and again with the web, they also need some software. Believe me, there are hundreds of companies, software companies, which are ready to create such softwares for all type of Ponzi schemes. Now you will understand later on why they need a software. For a very simple reason that when such schemes are floated, they need to understand how much they are earning every day. They need to understand what is their payout next day. They need to understand what is going to be their payout after a couple of weeks or after a period of 2 months, 3 months. So accordingly, they plan their actions, they plan their exit, they plan everything. So they plan their actions, they plan their exit, and they know at what point of them they want to get exit. And for that, they need information on hand every day, every single hour, that is working hour. And for that reason, they need software designers. And there are ample software producing companies in India, in Maharashtra, in Pune, in Mumbai, in Bangalore, everywhere. You type software designing companies for MLM companies, you will get many such names. As I was informing you about software producing companies, there are many such companies which are there in the business of producing softwares for multi-level marketing schemes. Then after having gone through initial this thing, like promoters are there, financiers are there, software companies are there, web designers are there, then also they also need assistance of chartered accountants. They also need assistance of company secretary. They also need assistance of other professionals in the business of accounting. These professionals are required for them for the purpose of understanding how to divert money that is being accumulated from the customers on day-to-day basis. Now, if we have to see, you will understand that there are so many factors which are involved in mushrooming or in floating any such scheme. And then there comes the most important factor, that is leaders or agents who actually take such scheme to people. You will be shocked to know that how many numbers of such agents or such leaders are in existence in Mumbai metropolitan region. Can any one of you guess?
1 lakh.
I think your guess is far more further than what I was about to say. I was about to say 50,000, but yes, indeed.
Thousands of schemes, lakhs of agents.
So it is a pleasant surprise, I must say. But yes, there are so many number of agents or leaders who are ready to take their schemes. They have their own pockets. If some agent is working in an area of Vikhroli East, he will never cross his boundary and go to Vikhroli West. Or if he is working in the other west area, he will not go to the other east area. And then they have like electoral ballot. They have their own list of prospective investors. Trust me, it is being done in such an organized manner. Like if me as Athawale coming to you for floating certain scheme, I will come to you, I will induce you, I will make you invest in those schemes, I will take away money from you, I will vanish. But me after vanishing, I will give you a list of all present over here to my predecessor with a certain portion of commission. That is how they call it, usko list bechna bolte hai wo log. That is how it happens. This is not something storytelling, this is something I am sharing with you that I have learned from my own practical experience. And their role is most vicious role, I must say. Who are the agents? Have you ever understand who are they? They may be one of your colleagues working in your own office. They may be people who are traveling with every day on a local board along with you. They may be from some locality from where you are living. They may be one of your relatives also. So in all such places they are spread, and they themselves call themselves as a networkers. So they don't feel that they are doing something wrong, but actually khoon pee rahe hai wo logon ka, and they don't understand gravity of it. Because I've seen many families, many individuals destroyed by such schemes. I've seen such families while working at EOW. I've seen people coming crying. I've seen people feeling helpless. I've seen people who are destroyed by such schemes. The gravity of their act is to that level that they are destroying life of people and they are not aware about it. So such networkers are, as I understand, they are basic core of, or they are people who are most responsible for floating such scheme. Imagine if there has to be no such networker, perhaps schemes would not have reached to people in the past. Now today, of course, by use of internet, yes, there is a possibility that, and actually that has happened in some of the schemes that I have come across. Yes, the payments were made over the internet through credit card. The payments were, the schemes were induced, the people were induced through internet, and there was no role of some individual or some human being happening over there. But again, the element of networker is most essential and crucial part for floating any such schemes. These networkers dictate the promoters for the ratio, for the amount that is to be distributed among the networkers and the promoter of a company. The commission of such networkers vary from 5% to 25%. If I am bringing in investment of 1000 rupees, I am supposed to get 50 rupees, or I may be supposed to be taking away 250 rupees. So it depends and it varies from a scheme to scheme. Again, coming back to the essential factors or ingredients for floating such schemes is, yes, as we have discussed already, that they need some wonderful office premises, wonderful staff, some fancy website, advertisements, seminars, and media management. And again, if you happen to be a part of such scheme, or you have ever visited their office, you will find that some ISO 2001 certificates are displayed in the backdrop. You will find Register of Companies Certificate of Incorporation is displayed in the backdrop. See, these minute details, the reason me telling you all these minute details is that you all must understand to what level they put in effort to misguide people, to misrepresent people, and to take away their money. So this is how it happens, that financiers put in money, office premises is set up, website is designed, meeting with leaders happen, commission is decided, a plan is drawn, a software is designed, and formal inauguration happens, and that is also followed by some star nights and award functions. Coming back to some reality, this is a case study of Speak Asia. Sir, with your kind permission, I would like to use the information while in the service over here for the purpose of people to understand. What was Speak Asia? You all must have heard about Speak Asia. Speak Asia was some online survey company. How many of you know that Speak Asia was never ever in existence as far as Indian statutory framework is concerned? There was no company registered, there was no office registered, there was nothing. It was registered somewhere in Hong Kong, if I am not wrong. Singapore, I'm sorry. I always jumble between Hong Kong and Singapore. And it has appointed hundreds of distributors across the country. And what was their product? Their product was again a virtual product. It was e-Sign. They always used to claim that they will supply you e-Signs which are designed in Dubai, and they will be sending you those e-Signs in your email account.
It was a quiz that they had to do.
Yeah, but every week they used to send you some questionnaires. I will come to that. And those e-Signs were supposed to be the product they will be selling you in lieu of deposit, whatever they are taking from you. And the returns, of course, were almost 500% over a period of 10 months. And then there was also additional discount and commission for enrolling new members. As Madam correctly said, they used to send every week, like 52 weeks in a year, they used to send you 52 questionnaires. Now, what were those questionnaires? Those questionnaires used to be based on some commercial product which we use every day. A week, they will give you a questionnaire about some washing machines. Another week, they will give you some questionnaire about some toothpaste you are using every day. And those questionnaires can be answered even by a small kid. If you happen to answer them correctly and then send them across, you are supposed to get 50 rupees per each correct answer. And there used to be some 500 questions which are being asked. So if you fill in one survey correctly, you are entitled to get 1,000 rupees something every week. So 52 weeks, you were entitled to get 52,000 in lieu of an investment of rupees 11,000 initially. Out of that 11,000, as I said, 1,000 rupees were for the purpose of registration and 10,000 rupees were for the purpose of e-Signs they used to send you over your emails. This company successfully enrolled almost 23 lakh panelists across the country in a span of 18 months. And who were the panelists or who were members to the scheme? Most high profile doctors, engineers, bankers, police officers, yes, even police officers, lawyers, vis-a-vis, hand cart pullers, domestic help, small shop owners were gullible investors in this particular scheme. Speak Asia used to advertise very aggressively, and the panelists who have earned in Speak Asia used to conduct propaganda of Speak Asia very aggressively. The panelists are portrayed as a role model by aggressive marketing, advertising by the company through their advertisements for earning extra income or for generating jobs for lakhs of people. They used to always claim that they have generated lakhs of jobs in the country through their mission. And these are figures which actually Speak Asia collected in a span of 18 months. First quarter, around 10 crores. Third quarter, they reached up to the level of 50 crores. Fifth quarter, they reached 100 crore. Sixth quarter, they crossed 100 crore and touched 120 crore bar. Total funds that were collected in a period of 18 months were more than 2,300 crores. And total payout that was assured against collection of these 2,300 crores was of rupees 30,000 crores plus. So you can understand magnitude of one single scheme that was run. And what actually revealed in police investigation? I must mention over here that madam, one of your member over here, Mr. Yogesh, was instrumental in bringing this particular scheme to the light, and he was always interacting with EOW while EOW has taken up action against Speak Asia. What revealed during police investigation? It revealed that company was not at all registered and was not at all authorized to do any kind of business in India, because it was not registered under Shop Act license, under Partnership Act, or under Register of Companies regulations. Website which the company was running from America, but development and maintenance was carried out from India. So they have purposely created very complex structure. So even if somebody has to trace the changes that are happening as far as websites are concerned, it was very difficult. The servers of the websites were in America, so whatever data that was uploaded on the website used to get directly transmitted to the servers and stored in the servers, so there was no physical access to the servers. Company was also registered in foreign country, and name of the company used to get changed quite frequently. The license of appointed chartered accountant has been suspended. That is one of the most startling revelation as far as Speak Asia's investigation was concerned. As we are all must be aware that any fund that are to be transferred out of the country, they need a certificate from a chartered accountant that this transfer is happening on some legitimate ground. A panelist and one of the member of the gang who was running Speak Asia was a chartered accountant, and whose license was suspended by the Institute of Chartered Accountant before he actually getting involved in Speak Asia. Now, on basis of the certificates which were issued by the chartered accountants, Reserve Bank allowed transfer of almost 2,100 crores out of the country in a span of 6 to 8 months. Amounts are siphoned out of country and suspected to be routed in via Benami bank accounts as well as through Hawala. That has actually happened. Drivers, accountants, software technicians were appointed as directors to the company. So actual key players never came into foray. They never came in front. They always remained in the backdrop, and they operated from the behind the curtain. And their drivers, their software engineers, small time people, they were appointed as directors. Now उन बेचारों को मालूम भी नहीं था कि कभी एक दिन पुलिस वाले आ जाएंगे और उनको अंदर डाल देंगे. But it did happen like that. 300 crores were siphoned out of the country successfully, and onus of those 2,300 crores siphoning finally came on the shoulders of these drivers, accountants, and small-time people who may not have ever imagined. Speak Asia always used to claim that they have some tie-up with famous multinational companies, and these multinational companies have engaged them for the purpose of conducting some surveys all across the world about their own products. And on basis of such surveys, these multinational companies are paying certain amount to Speak Asia, and Speak Asia, being most generous organization in the world, have decided to share their booties with you all gullible people. That was the scheme that was actually run by Speak Asia. The eZine virtual product that they claim to be developed in Dubai used to actually get developed in a 150 square feet office cum commercial premises just 1,000 meters away from here near Kabutar Khana in Dadar. The promoters and master distributors were actually initial members to the scheme so as to earn commission from enrollment of members down the line. I must share one very interesting thing over here. What they have done, that their entire structure was web-based structure. So whosoever used to log in onto the Speak Asia, his number used to come in a serial manner. So the day they have launched website, they created such 890 IDs in a span of 15 minutes. Now these 90 IDs were created from different locations all across the country. And maybe using one single ISP, they must have created 50 or 60 odd such IDs in a span of 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Now, how all this came to foray, or how police got hold of it, or how police came to know about it? It happened so that while a case was registered against Speak Asia and Mumbai police was investigating case against Speak Asia, a bunch of people went to Supreme Court and filed some civil litigation against the company Speak Asia. They claimed that they were the initial promoters, or they were the initial financiers or investors in the scheme, and the company owes them around 1800 crores something by way of commission that has been collected in a course of business. So when Supreme Court ordered Mumbai police, Mumbai EOW, to go into matter, to investigate and come out with the report, all these things came to light. When entire data from their servers, which were outstationed, which were stationed in America, was successfully taken away, was successfully downloaded over here, that data was deciphered, all these things come to light. And when all these revelations were placed before the Supreme Court of India ruled out that civil litigation. They disposed of that civil suit and they asked Mumbai police to continue with the investigation. It also happened, as far as Speak Asia is concerned, that most of the upline people, now I hope that most of you are aware about how Ponzi schemes are run. Like if I happen to get enroll myself as a member to the scheme, they give me a certain number in the entire hierarchy. Now whosoever enrolls after me, I am supposed to get some percentage of that investment as a part of commission. Now if I am earning, if I am supposed to get certain, say 2,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees in the form of commission from the company, now that much amount or the points which are equivalent to that amount will be credited in my e-wallet or in my e-account. And if I bring in someone to get enrolled as a new member to the scheme, I can take money from him in cash and I can redeem those points which are there credited in my account. And this is how Speak Asia fraud, which we are suspecting to be more than 2,300 crores. Because 2,300 crores is the amount that has actually been transferred or deposited in the bank accounts, but all of us are not sure that how much amount was exactly investigated in this matter of Speak Asia. This is a graphic, this thing which I want to present over here. You can see that there are different locations in different parts of the world which are termed as end users. And there is a server which is hosted in some remote location. Now whenever any client or any end user is logging into the scheme, that entire data will travel to the server and will be stored in the remote location servers. This is another diagram through which I just want to explain, like software updates and backups were happening between Software Development Maintenance Center, which was located again in India, and the server that was located outstation. And the users who were accessing the website, they used to log on to the website, so ultimately they were touching the server, which was again outstation somewhere in America. And I just want to mention over here a few bitter things over here also. Like while narrating this entire episode or entire incident of Speak Asia, I also mentioned what was happening when police actually took action and police arrested them on day 1 or day 2. Like I feel that in the history of action that has been taken by Mumbai police as far as these multi-level marketing schemes or Ponzi schemes are concerned, me being part of it can very well say, indeed it was the first time that arrests were made on the day 1. Like we have planned everything and we have arrested them on day 1. The day offense was registered, key members, key operators of the company operating in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Gwalior, in Indore, in all these places they were arrested on day 1. And what was followed of this action? There was a strong criticism on government for inaction or preventive measures to such crimes through print and electronic media. It indeed happened, and it even happens today. What happened when Sarda scam was blown up? Like everybody was criticizing the government. We have to think at the end of this presentation that is it right on our part to do so? Hundreds of panelists, they stormed the office of the police commissioner of Mumbai for stopping a beautiful scheme that was generating thousands of crores of income for people. When these accused were escorted from police commissioner's office compound to the Esplanade Court, that is barely 1000 meters this thing, we literally have to wade our way through those investors, the group of investors that was gathered outside the police commissioner office. And when the remand was being taken inside the court, the slogans were shouted at Azad Maidan against police action. That is how people have reacted. This is something very shocking, and this is something very much irritating for any law enforcing agency, that look here, we as an enforcing agency, we are doing our duties, and how you are reacting? How are reacting to this thing? Are you looking at things as correctly we should look at? Certainly not. I think I will have to wind up my presentation. But yes, indeed, I wanted to present this case of Speak Asia. Then there were few more points which I wanted to mention, but it is really privileged to come over here and present my case before you. I hope that I have not bored you or I have not wasted your time. I am indeed again grateful to Money Life Foundation for giving this me opportunity and inviting me over here. Thank you. Thanks.